YouTube, it's your boy Fishing King, man, and I hope you guys are having a great day, man. I came at y'all with a specific reason, and that reason is I want to talk to you guys about the rides that y'all are missing out on. As most of you know, I love to use my 8-foot ACC crappie stick. Get your ACC! Get your ACC! Using my green ACC crappie stick. 8-foot. It's a medium action rod. I don't like those whippy rods. But I always get a lot of messages saying, hey man, I was really looking for those ACCs and the 8-foot. He won't have any to next spring. Well, let me tell you something, man. You guys are really missing out if you're overlooking that 10-foot ACC that is being made as well. First thing I want to talk about is the balance of this rod, man. Most people with a 10-foot rod, they worry that the rod will be too heavy. Okay, that's the first thing they worry about. I wish I could pan out and show you this whole rod, but basically here's the balance of this rod. I don't have it strung up right now because I was actually going to put another reel on it that had line on it. But just to give you an example, man, with my thumb only on a 10-foot rod, I'm able to balance this thing on the tip of my thumb. What this lets me know is that I really won't have to worry about my wrist fatiguing as much because it's a well-balanced rod. Another thing that I like about this 10-footer is that it gives me reach, especially when I'm in somebody else's boat. This 10-footer allows for me to stand behind the person that's running the trolling motor and have that 2-foot of pole that will allow me to get into the strike zone just like the person that's running the trolling motor. Yeah, hey man. Baby food aisle. Hold on, wait. What that allows me to do is do a little back boating, as we call it. And it puts me right over the brush pile. As most people know, anybody at vertical jigs, the person in the front of the boat is usually in the prime spot. In order for you to get in that prime spot as well, get you a 10-footer, get that extra 2 foot of reach. There you go, problem solved. Another thing that I like about this 10-footer is, especially now that we're getting into the winter months, man, and we're going into these creeks, you're going to have a lot of low-hanging branches when you're fishing out of your boat in the creek. What that 10-footer does, it allows me to back up off of that structure that has the overhanging branches, and to get into that structure, to poke down in that structure. What I'll usually do is I'll take my line from the reel and I'll pull it until the jig hits the tip of the rod. I'll then put the rod into the place that I want it and slowly drop my line in. It's really hard to do with a shorter rod, but with the longer rod, which gives you a little more distance away from the boat, it's A1, man. Again, I do not want you guys to overlook these rods. I do not want you guys to think that a 10-footer is too long. It's a very versatile rod, as well as my 8. And just to give you a little background, really one of the only reasons I use an 8-footer right now is because it was given to me, guys. My buddy Early Williams introduced me to the ACC crappie sticks. At the time, I was using a 10-foot rod. And I loved my 10-foot rod. It gave me the reach I wanted. It allowed me to stay out of the trolling motor, which is another good thing that 10-footer does. It allows for you to stay out of the trolling motor, especially when you're running that trolling motor. But he gave me this 8-foot ACC rod to try. He gave it to me out of appreciation for something that I did for him. And I just really enjoyed the rod. As I tell most people, they reminded me of the Tikas that I used to use. And from there on, there's my love story, man. So that's the reason why I use the 8-footer today. In any other situation, I love my 10-footer. Again, I've had a lot of people comment, send me messages, especially when they ask for information on what's the website. how can I get a hold to one of those ACC crappie sticks? Andy is in the process of getting a big order. Um, and in that process, you know, he does have some 10 footers left, guys. And I'm going to tell you what, if they didn't have the 8, I would definitely be buying the 10. It's not even a question. I'd be buying the 10. Let me give you another thing. My buddy Johnny, I have a buddy named Johnny. He calls me Mr. Miyagi, as some of you may know. But I took Johnny dock fishing. We were shooting docks with the ACC 5'6" or 5.5 dock shooter, and the wind picked up on us. So what I was able to do was I had 2 of my 10-foot ACCs with me, and instead of trying to shoot docks in the wind, which was just a horror story, what that allowed for me to do is reach over into the dock. You know, I went over to the side of the dock and I reached over into it, and we continued to catch fish. Matter of fact, we caught more fish doing it that way. So understand that the 10-footer is a versatile rod. It'll help you in the creeks. It'll give you more reach when you're fishing with somebody in someone else's boat and their boat isn't set up to have 2 people sitting in the front. Like, you know, I love to sit in the front. I haven't always had the 2-seat setup like that. And that setup is made by easytpoleperch.com. Find those there. I also love my Millennium seats, which I've had a lot of people asking me questions about. Man, I do have a bad back. And for that reason, I needed to find another seat that was more suitable for my back, as well as my dad, who's aging. You know, Hook City, he's an older guy. He needs a little bit more back support as well. Those Millennium seats do the job, guys. But back onto the 10-footer. If you're not set up like that, the 10-footer would allow you to stand behind the person that you're fishing with and still be able to get into the strike zone. It'll allow you to reach around the boat more. If you're fishing shallow water, that 10-footer is going to allow you to fish further away from the boat, which in turn will make sure that you're not spooking those fish off. A lot of people don't believe you can spook fish. I personally believe that in 6 foot of water, 8 foot of water or less, or even in deeper, clearer water, a trolling motor can spook fish and cause them to shut down on you and not want to bite. So a 10-footer is great for that reason as well. Hey guys, go out and get you one, man. I'm an advocate of ACC. I love my ACC rods, man. I love everything about them. They've handled every fish that I've caught, and I've caught them upwards to 2 pounds. No issues. From the 5'6", the 8-footer, the 10-footer. I don't do any type of spider rigging or anything like that, so I haven't been using the 14s. Another cool thing about these 10-footers, guys, he also makes this 10-foot green rod in a rear seat. If you go back on one of my videos, Slipcourt Chronicles, a 10-foot ACC rear seat with the Shimano 1000 Power Pro line. We're gonna get on some of these crappie right up next to the bank, man. It's either the first or second video. I'll definitely have a link up for you guys for that. But you'll notice that I was using a red 10-foot rear seat rod. He no longer makes those red rods, but you can get the 10-foot green rear seat rod. I'm gonna tell you, man, that is a special rod. Oh. Crappie on the rocks. You hear me? If any of you guys are familiar with fishing like with fly rods, it kind of gives you that fly rod feel, but with the backbone and the strength and durability of a vertical jigging rod. So I tell you what, one more thing. I give you one more thing, and this is something that I found that I truly love to do here in the last year or so, is fishing trees. I tell you what, especially when you're fishing shallower trees, you can take that 10-footer and pure put a hurting on fish. Again, it allows you to back up off of the tree a little bit so that you're not spooking those fish, especially when they're either up shallow or you're fishing shallow stumps. Man, you can reach in, and y'all know how it is. You reach in to get your hand snatched with that 10-footer. So sensitive, so light. But I tell you what, that thing will load up, and that backbone it just decides to crush down on that fish, man, and he can't do anything but come up. Which is very important, man. When you're fishing trees, you need that fish to be coming up. Those real nimble rods, man, they'll allow that fish to do whatever it wants to. But I take this 10-footer, I match it with, you know, the reel of your choice. I'm more specific on the line. You get you some Power Pro that doesn't have any stretch like Mono does, and that fish is coming out of there. If you got any, like I said, you hit him with that, he's coming up, man, with that 10-foot pole, man. So hey guys, y'all quit overlooking these 10-foot poles, man. Shout out to Jesse Lopez. That's another one that flat out hammers these fish. And that's Crappie Catching Craze on YouTube. Excuse me. Jesse and his wife, I mean Team Lopez, they get after it. Between him and Team Ricky, those guys, they really get after it with these 10-foot poles, man. There are many examples of how useful this 10-foot ACC is. So you guys really need to go get you one. I mean, I can go on and on. Early Williams, another one of my buddies who introduced me to the ride, who he doesn't have a channel, man, but I tell you what, he works out with these 10-foot rods. Guys, if you don't have a 10-footer in your arsenal, even if you do have an 8-footer, I think you are really shorting yourself, even if you do have an 8-footer, to not have that 10-foot ACC in your arsenal. Again, 10-foot ACC crappie sticks. If you don't have this in your arsenal, guys, you're really missing out. I mean, it's a beautiful rod, beautiful finish, beautiful cork handle, and y'all might laugh at me, man, but I always take a while to take the plastic off of my cork handles. They're just so pretty. And I know once I get my dirty hands all over it, I mean, it'll be brown in no time. So if you guys got any tips on how to clean cork handles, let me know, because I need to start taking this plastic off of these cork handles. But again, man, this is such a nice rod, well balanced, beautiful finish, and it gets the job done, guys. And it's very cost effective. You know, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to get a hold to one of these 10-footers. Great customer service if you're having a problem with a rod. Andy is the man to talk to, guys. It's your boy Fishing Ken. I hope this helped. If y'all have any questions about the 10-footer, ways to use it, you know, what reel to match it up with, what line to use. Hey, while I'm not on the water, man, I'm happy to go ahead and answer some of these questions and do videos like this. Just a little sit down with Fishing Ken. So until next time, man, you guys stay on those crappie, tight lines. God bless you. I love you. I get with you, man. Hopefully next time I'll see you on the water.